If I was a Seahawks fan, I would be so confused by this offseason. What are the Seahawks doing? I've been paying attention to every move, trying to figure it out. Maybe you guys can help me out. Right away, Seattle signaled they were going into kind of a rebuild mode. Geno Smith needed a contract this offseason. He probably wants $30 to $40 million, somewhere in that range. Seahawks didn't want to pay a backup level quarterback that number, so they traded him to the Raiders for a third-round pick. And honestly, a third-round pick for Geno Smith is pretty good for the Seahawks. And the other side of this on the Raiders side confused me as well. Like, aren't the Las Vegas Raiders, especially with this QB class, I think the second best quarterback will probably be available at 6th overall. You don't know for sure, but at worst, the third best quarterback will be there for the Raiders when they're on the clock. And I think that it will be Shedeur Sanders. I don't think anyone in the top 5 is going to take him. And all of the rumors, everything is pointing Shedeur Sanders to the Raiders, Shedeur Sanders to the Raiders, Shedeur Sanders to the Raiders. Except for this one part where the Raiders traded their third-round pick in this year's draft for a quarterback already, Geno Smith. And I know you'd say, oh, Mike, they need to transition Geno Smith to Shedeur Sanders over a year. I cannot justify using the first and third-round pick to burn on the same position where you can only play one guy at a time. Why couldn't you just draft Shedeur Sanders and just sign one of the cheap, very, very cheap veteran quarterbacks that are still available on the free agent market? Why couldn't you draft Shedeur Sanders and let the man cook? Let him get some experience under his belt, even if the Raiders lose in their first year, so you could draft another star weapon for him. Just tell the guy to do what AOC did. Throw it to Brock Bowers. But no, they used their third-round pick on a quarterback. As much as I hate Pete Carroll now, I think he's a genius. He's not an idiot. He's not using the first-round pick on quarterback. Maybe he's using the second-round pick on quarterback, but a guy that's in his mid-70s, I don't think he's willing to just sit there and rebuild a quarterback slowly behind Geno Smith. I think the first 2 rounds will go towards other positions for the Raiders now. Maybe they draft the quarterback. It's going to be later in the draft in the 4th round, or they trade back into the 3rd. Otherwise, they're being kind of confusing and kind of dumb, which I enjoy as a Chargers fan. I don't want the Raiders to be good. I just thought that Tom Brady was taking over. They were going to start making wise decisions. And this one makes no sense to me. You're just not going to convince me that Geno's that much better than Aaron Rodgers or Joe Flacco or Russell Wilson, who are all still out there. Better teachers for Shedeur Sanders or any rookie quarterback. I actually think Geno's going to get an extension with the Raiders. And it's going to piss Raiders fans off when that 3-year deal drops. For the Seahawks side, to go back to the Seahawks, this whole video is about the Seahawks. I applaud them getting a third-round pick for Geno Smith. I don't feel like he was worth a third-round pick. I think the only reason they got that much draft capital is because it was with Pete Carroll. But was it too soon to trade Geno also? Like, wasn't it smarter for the Seahawks to just sign Geno to a 2-year deal and draft a quarterback to train under him, just like we're talking about the Raiders possibly doing? Or even just being patient at the quarterback position. Maybe a superstar becomes available and you can use Geno in the trade the way they used Jared Goff to get Matthew Stafford. Learn from your rivals, maybe. Because the Seahawks had something going, man. This offense had DK Metcalf, Kenneth Walker, Jackson Smith-Njigba in their prime on it. The O-line was starting to come together. They were making strides there, and they made more signings this offseason. I felt like that defense was 1 year away. You have so many guys hitting their prime at the exact same time on that defense, so many talented players. And their coach took over the team as a defensive-minded head coach, Mike Macdonald, last year. You got to give this guy a year to really sink his roots into the defense and make his impact. They may have the most underrated backfield also with Kenneth Walker and Zach Charbonnet. Then you just go and rip the leader, the heart and soul out of the team and send him to Vegas. And then you also didn't want to pay DK Metcalf, which would mean now you're in full rebuild mode. No more ifsies about it. We aren't trying to upgrade the QB position at this point, because if you're trying to upgrade the QB position, you'd want to keep the star wide receivers there for the QB to throw to. A little bit of foreshadowing. They send DK Metcalf to Pittsburgh. And again, I'm confused on the Steelers side of things also. This whole offseason has been a mindfuck. The Steelers are really pairing the 2 crash-out brothers together. Like, the only player or the only wide receiver that might have been crazier than George Pickens is DK Metcalf. They even wear the same number. Not anymore. DK switching to number 4. But how does Mike Tomlin think this is going to work on the sideline every week? Both these guys want every single target, and mathematically that's not possible. And you're going to bring Russell Wilson possibly in to lead these guys? Someone who has lost control of locker room time after time after time again, had player after player after star player talk crap about him? Or you're going to bring in Aaron Rodgers, similar effect? I would prefer to have Rodgers than Russell Wilson, but it's going to be a similar shit show every week. It just doesn't make sense to me to make that move, to signal to teams, I'm going to come out and kick your ass with these big-ass wide receivers, but then go with Jalen Warren, the tiny little running back, over the bruising back, Najee Harris. And you have no quarterback to throw to these receivers still. We'll take Najee Harris. We'll let the Steelers take themselves out of the contention for the AFC, hopefully. Back to the Seahawks side of things. All right, you cleared probably $70 million in cap in the future at least. You got multiple draft picks for Geno Smith and DK Metcalf for this year's draft to trade up for a quarterback, right? So you can have a rookie quarterback with all that cap space, and you can load this roster up. Just like the Vikings are doing around J.J. McCarthy. Just like the Commanders are doing around Jaden Daniels. Like they did in Houston around C.J. Stroud. That's what Seattle's doing, right? That's what makes complete sense, right? No. All of a sudden, news breaks. They're giving $100 million to another journeyman quarterback, just like Geno Smith, who's been a backup his whole career, Sam Darnold. And at Sam Darnold's age, at the price tag they signed him, they're signaling that they want this to be their franchise quarterback. Keep in mind, this team was one of the more injured teams last season, and they still competed for the NFC West down the stretch. And your move was to get rid of DK Metcalf and get rid of Geno Smith to bring in Sam Darnold? Wouldn't you want DK Metcalf there to help Sam Darnold adjust to being on a new team, new offense? Also, Sam Darnold, kind of infamous for having a little bit of a wild arm. At very inopportune times, he'll just throw one a little too high. He'll underthrow a ball that gets undercut and picked off the other way, and it always seems like it's at the worst possible time. So wouldn't you want that F-it style of receiver to just throw it up? DK's down there somewhere? No? You went with the super timing-based wide receivers. Both JSN and then the Seahawks also signed Cooper Kupp to a $45 million deal as well, taking about half the savings they saved on DK Metcalf. And if you combine that with the Sam Darnold mega contract, they almost save no cap space from exchanging Geno Smith and DK Metcalf for frickin' Sam Darnold and a wash now, Cooper Kupp. There's a reason the Rams are letting this guy go. He would want to retire a Ram if he could. They're forcing him out the door because they're telling him there isn't a place on the field for you here in LA where you are a legend, a future Ring of Honor and Hall of Famer. It's just so obvious that what the Seattle Seahawks are doing is going to lead to absolute failure. And to me, it makes no sense at all. You'd think as a defensive-minded head coach, you'd want the less turnover-prone guy in Geno Smith. I applaud Sam Darnold's breakout season, 35 touchdowns, 4,500 yards. Crazy year, but come on, everyone in that Vikings offense has been crazy. I think whoever, whether it's Aaron Rodgers or J.J. McCarthy, is starting quarterback for the Vikings, they're going to go crazy next year too. Josh Dobbs succeeded in this offense. We have seen backup quarterback after backup quarterback step in. We saw the fall off of Kirk Cousins from this offense to another offense. It is so clear that this is a situation like with Brock Purdy in San Francisco. Sam Darnold's being carried by the team around him in Minnesota, not the other way around. And when you drop the bag on this guy, thank goodness it's not $60 million on Sam Darnold. And you have to trade DK because of cap casualty. You're not going to have the team stacked around him anymore, and he's not going to be worth the $35 million. This is why you should have just kept DK if you're going to do this. And take a chance on a younger Sam Darnold over Geno Smith. He's not even that much younger. Darnold has been on 4 teams the past 4 years. Geno has been on 1, and it was yours, Seattle. All 4 of those teams told Sam Darnold, no, we're not even going to sign you to a 1-year, $10 million deal, let alone a $100 million deal. We mentioned the inconsistent play. You saw it at the end of last year. You saw it in Sam Darnold's last games as a Viking, probably why he's not a Viking still today. Just time and time again, he's proven that he's not that dude in the clutch. And time after time again, he's proven there's a huge tier gap from Sam Darnold to even the top 10 quarterbacks. And this whole Cooper Kupp thing in Seattle also backfires because while Cooper Kupp thinks he's turning heel like John Cena on the Rams, they got Devontae Adams, who might be the same age as Cooper Kupp, but if you watch these two on tape, they are not same age in the legs. Devontae Adams can still do everything that this Rams offense needs Cooper Kupp to do, and it's why they moved on. I'll say it again. Just to remind you, before you forget, to like the video. It helps support the channel so much. And if you love the NFL, whether you agree with my opinions or disagree with them, the comment section's open, and I want you to subscribe to the channel and turn notifications on. If you never met me before, hi, I'm NFL Mike. an NFL content creator that creates NFL content 7 days a week and twice on Sundays. Just don't forget to hit that button. I have no idea what the Hawks are doing, but I guess sooner rather than later, the ball definitely won't lie.
Bill Flames, I went Mike on the mic. With something brand new, one time for your mind. He gave you fair warning. Now it's time to smack him in the mouth with that raw sports talk from the town. Sweet chin music to your favorite sportscaster.